Okay, so this floor, big tile, shiny, reasonably clean. I give it a solid 8 out of 10. Hey everyone, my mic messed up the first time. So guess what? I get to do this again. Welcome to the first episode of Floored with Kai. I'm trying something new here. If the reception is good, I'd love to do more of these. Now, the way the market has been the past couple of months, starting something new is interesting to say the least. I want to start this video off by saying that this is not financial advice. I'm not a serious trader, and these are not the kinds of videos where I'm going to tell you to ape into something. This is going to be some NFT news with a technological spin on it. Now, Yutes, unless you've been living under a rock for the past few days or weeks, you would have heard of Yutes. It's crazy. Everyone's talking about it on the Twitter sphere, crypto Twitter, everything. So Yutes is a Solana project. It's started by the same people that did DGods. DGods is basically the Bored Ape of Solana. So yeah, these guys are pretty big, and they're doing Utes, and everyone wants them. They got this Utes list. They have these scholarship applications. I didn't apply because I just didn't get around to it. I'm not sure if I would have made it if I applied, but basically everyone's trying to get in or tried to get in. They minted already. Well, they didn't. Technically, they didn't mint. They minted these things called tubes, and basically a tube lets you mint a Ute. And yeah, so they minted these tubes, and these tubes are at 169 sols. So one sol here, if you look at the price Solana, 33 US dollars. That puts these guys at around 5,500 US dollars, or just over 3.5 ETH. Now, 3.5 ETH floor price, that's very decent. And it kind of, puts it into getting to blue chip status, in my opinion, in this market at least. Though I don't have a lot of experience with Solana NFTs, but the volume is just off the charts. It's insane. Look at this. Last 24 hours, number one spot. Obviously, that's easy. Now go last 7 days, still number one slot. That means that this project has had, and in this project's been around for one day. So in one day, this project has amassed more volume than every other project over the last 7 days. Now here's the crazy thing. If you go to the last 30 days, they're still in the top 15. That means these guys have the top 15 volume in the past month, and they've only been around for one day. Now that really speaks to the state of the market. And if you haven't seen K Money's video, it's hilarious. Go follow him, watch his videos. I love this. Just sums it up right here.
Hey boss, yeah, I'm just letting you know I'm not gonna be working today because it's Utes Day. Hey!
Yeah, that's Yutes Day, alright. So that's Yutes. Now moving on to Digi Daiku. Digi Daiku is free mint. It went up to like 16 ETH, just crazy. It's been around for a month. Art is lovely. I think they're cute. And the main spokesperson for this project is Gabe Leiden. He kind of stormed onto NFT Twitter, and he's been posting so much shit. It's hilarious. I love it. A lot of people are uncomfortable with him, but he's like this investor from, tech guy from the Web2 space that got a lot of investment. Everyone's throwing out this number, I think like $200 million, and that's probably why the floor price is so high, because everyone knows this project got investment. And he talks about this concept called free to own, F2O, which basically means that the game project will make its assets free to own to certain investors, and then these people, out of the interest of the project, they will go out and promote through word of mouth and other benefits also. And I think it's an interesting concept. Now, this guy was the CEO of Game of War Fire Age, which I've never heard of. I've never played this. It looks interesting though. It looks like it had some popularity back in the day, and they even have this model. Oh, it's Kate Upton. Okay, wow. Yeah, so these guys have some experience making games, and that's probably a big reason why this project kind of blew up. Now, they had an airdrop a couple of days ago, so the floor price was 16 ETH, and it's gone down to 8. So that's because of the airdrop. And once you airdrop something, people hold on to the asset waiting for the airdrop. Then once the airdrop comes, they just floor it. And that's why this show is called Floored. So here you see the volume. Okay, so they've been around for 1 month, and the volume is 6.4K. Now, for a project that's had a 16 ETH floor price, you would expect the volume to be decently higher. I believe Azuki, I know they've been around for months and months, but their volume is like 250,000. If you take those and you divide it however months they've been around, even 10 months, even if you divide 250,000 by 10, you get 25,000. So this kind of speaks to the state of the market right now. Basically, floor prices have definitely dropped across the board, but in my opinion, volume has dropped even more. And what's happening is that NFT investors and holders, they know that we're in a bear market, so they're less likely to sell. They're hoping to hold through the market and wait for the market to recover. And then they might think about getting a return on their investment, or they might just hold on longer. And so it's a bit hard to explain, but basically volumes have fallen a lot lower than floor prices have, and that's why you'd see these projects with quite a few projects out there with high floor prices, and like they might not even have a sale in 1 or 2 days, and the floor price is still being maintained. That's because back in the day, a few months ago, if someone doesn't see anyone buying their NFT within a couple of days, they would just start dropping the price. Whereas these days, they're willing to wait a bit longer. They might wait a week before dropping the price, and that's kind of the reason, the price action why we have such low volumes, and yet the floor price is where it is right now. Yeah, and so they had an airdrop and kind of made the floor price go down a bit, but it ETH still nothing to scoff at. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Now, on to a more technical part of the episode. I want to talk about Fubar and his Foo Fighters NFT. So Fubar is a great guy. He does a lot of development stuff, very involved with the Ethereum development community. I love his stuff. So he's come out with this Foo Fighters, awesome name. It's an on-chain project, and it actually allows you to attack each other. Free mint. It's pretty cool. It's on this Gorley network. So you might be wondering, what is Gorley? Gorley is a testnet, an Ethereum testnet. So this is not deployed on actual Ethereum mainnet, like real money. This is deployed on one of the test nets. Now, you might be familiar with like Ropsten, Rinkeby, Coven. Now, basically, this is not uh, one of those. This is another one called Gorley. I'm probably butchering that. I don't know how to pronounce it. But Gorley is a fairly newer testnet, and if you've heard about the merge, everyone's heard about the merge. ETH 2.0. This network is being used for a lot of the development because it uses proof of stake, which is the consensus mechanism that Ethereum plans to move to. And so this proof of stake network is where a lot of the ETH 2.0 development is happening. I think the reason Fubar decided to release his NFT on This network is to bring attention to the upcoming merge and also the development of that. Now, you can see here an NFT, depending on its power level, it'll like shine brighter green, and depending on the health, it will have like a more red background. So this guy's power level is very low, so he's not shining green here, whereas this guy is shining green a bit. So looking at the contract, very clean. This contract's very clean. It's got 4 files. Now you'll start off by seeing that he is not using ERC721A. He's using this implementation from Soulmate. Now, not everyone likes ERC721A in the development community. I think it's great mainly because it's a very well maintained GitHub repo with a lot of tests, and the developers, all developers, are very smart. They're very motivated, and they only have good intentions for the space. But obviously, there's always some pros and cons with every approach that you take. You know, if you're having batch minting or you're doing another approach, and so if you're looking for alternatives to ERC721A, the Soulmate implementation is another well-maintained version or implementation of ERC721. Encourage you to look into it if you're a developer. Now, looking at this contract, you'll see here they have a function to attack. So you pass in the attacker ID, so who is attacking, and that's the NFT that you must own yourself. The sender must own it. And the defender ID, this is who the attacker is going to be attacking. And if you manage to knock the defender's health below your attack power, or your attack power is actually higher than their health, so you kill them in one hit, then you will actually be able to burn the NFTs. The NFT just gets straight up burnt, and it reduces the total supply, and you absorb their power. So that's pretty cool. There's also a function that lets you shield yourself from attacks. And if you go down here to the token URI, you can kind of see where all the on-chain stuff is happening. So basically here, the fill color for the background, as you lose more health, it becomes more and more red. And here, the fill color for the stroke itself, the more power you have, the more green it is, and you can see that here as well. And then down here, there's some text that draws the power and the health in the top left. So yeah, that's kind of how Foobar's Foo Fighters gets drawn, and it's pretty cool. This part here, very similar to Clay Wars. If you want to have a look at the video I did on my channel on the Clay Wars contract, pretty similar stuff. So it's pretty cool. I like it. Very clean contract. It's very nice. And yeah, be sure to check it out. Check out Foo Fighters and check out the Gorley testnet as well. And I believe Foobar has a faucet here. So basically, if you want to buy these, you want to play with them, you can use this faucet to get some Gorley Ethereum, because you can't use normal Ethereum, and you can use that Gorley Ethereum to purchase these guys and play around them. Now, on a more somber note, Rug Pull Finder recently launched a project. Unfortunately, they had an issue that allowed 2 people to mint 450 NFTs. Now, I don't want to get into the drama. Obviously, Rug Pull Finder, that's the NFT account that has a lot of controversy. I'm not for or against Rug Pull Finder. I'm just here to talk about the technology. And again, it's a free mint, so I've seen some thought around it. I think, for speaking of the technology itself, I can comment on that, but I can't really comment on the account or the founders or anything like that. So anyway, moving on to the contract. The contract itself is The way it's been verified here, as you can see, it's kind of like one big file. And in this day and age, it's not really something that most experienced developers would do. You'd normally use like Hardhat Etherscan plugin, and that would allow you to see all the different files. So if you go on here, you can see file 104, file 304, etc. And what that lets me do is if I wanted to see, okay, how is the owner implementation? I can have a look at that and study it, and so, yeah, that looks great. Whereas on here, it's kind of all in one big file, and that makes it difficult to spot, like, did the developer put something here where, they might steal my NFTs later, etc. Generally, it's bad practice, not super professional to verify the contract that way. Secondly, it's pretty outdated Solidity version. It's not a big deal, but you would see at least 0.8.9 these days. So I'm not quite sure what's going on here. Honestly, the Solidity version coupled with the one file makes me think that developers probably using something like Remix Studio versus Truffle or Hardhat that I would recommend. So I personally use Hardhat, easy to use and modern, and takes care of a lot of things for you. And also, you can write your tests. And tests are very important. Why are they important? Because so they're going back to this here, right? How did two people mint 450 NFTs? They minted them with one transaction. That's because in this whitelist mint function, they have a Merkle proof, of course, that checks that you can actually mint, that you're actually on the whitelist, which is fine. The chosen amount is the issue. Chosen amount is used to determine how many NFTs to mint in that one transaction. And they're checking that chosen amount is over 0, but they're not checking that chosen amount is under any kind of value. They have this check here, so they check that the total supply plus chosen amount is under max supply minus reserve, and max supply is 1,221, reserve is 100. So they're basically checking that it's under 1,121 plus the total supply, of course. So you could just, if you're the first person to mint, you could just mint 1,000 of these, and there's nothing in here that's stopping you from doing that in one transaction. So, yeah, this looks like there's probably a lack of tests here. I've audited quite a few different projects' contracts, and when I do that, I always put a test for the user cannot mint over a certain amount. That's a test that I always put in. And so it's pretty straightforward to test for that. One thing I thought maybe they were using the version of ERC 721A that has the max batch size, but they're not. I can tell by the constructor here. There is an older version of 721A that it'll limit the mint amount based on the batch size, but that would come in the constructor, and it's not being passed in the constructor here. So it's not that. It's more likely a newer version being used here. So yeah, that's basically why it happened. And there's like typos in the comments. So the founders are handling this quite well. They're doing some buyback schemes, and they're doing all kinds of things to handle it. So I don't think that, nothing against the founders or the project. The art looks nice as well. I think unfortunately, just whoever was hired or whoever was involved to create this piece of tech, they did a somewhat shoddy job. And yeah, I'm here to comment on it. So that's basically it. Now, I've gone on long enough. Try to keep these bite-sized. So thanks for joining me, and if you liked it, I hope to see you next time.